It's 5:30 inches the morning. It's not the alarm that jolts you awake. It's your own heartbeat. The room is dark, lit only by the glow of your phone, casting a spotlight on your face, the cold touch of your finger on the screen, the harsh light stabbing at your half-open eyes. Did your heart just skip a beat? Not out of love, but out of fear, or maybe a sick kind of hope. If it's up, you feel like the king of the world. If it's down, you feel like the world owes you something. We have to admit, in that moment we tap the screen. We're all like a gambler sitting at a roulette wheel. This is not investing. I'll say it again. This is not investing. This is through and through a sucker's game where you use your own sweat and blood to play with terrible odds. And you even have to pay a fee for the privilege. What are you really doing when you buy a share of stock? You need to think this through. You're not playing tug-of-war with some imaginary number. You are, in a very real sense, using your money to buy a tiny, tiny piece of an actual company. You've become a shareholder, a fractional partner. You are an owner. Now, think like an owner. Let's say there's a little grocery store on your block that's been there for decades. It does good business, and the owner is an honest fellow. You've saved up some money and bought a 1% stake in his store. What would you do? Would you rush down to the store before dawn, grab the owner and ask, "What's the shop worth today? Now, is it more or less than yesterday? What about tomorrow, the day after?" Ask yourself, isn't that ridiculous? Of course it is. No sane person would do that. What would you care about? You'd care if there were plenty of customers today. You'd care if that new brand of soy sauce is selling well. You'd care if a big chain supermarket was about to open next door and compete with you. You'd care if the owner is still in good health and if his son is willing to take over the business. That's times how a partner, a business owner, is supposed to think. But the moment that grocery store becomes a string of symbols on a screen, it's like people's brains short circuit. They forget the most basic, simple principles of business. They've turned a stock screen into a slot machine. They just sit there all day, pulling the lever to see if 3 cherries pop up. It's pathetic. So I'm telling you, stay away from that flickering screen. That thing is not your friend, it's your enemy. It uses the most direct means possible to prey on the weakest parts of your human nature. It makes you excited. It makes you anxious. It makes you think you can predict the future. It makes you think you're a god. But you're not. You're just a regular person with a beating heart that's capable of fear. If you can't wrap your head around this simple truth, it doesn't matter how much money you invest, how much technical analysis you study, or how much financial news you watch. It's all useless. That's like a farmer who ignores the soil, the sun, and the rain, and instead becomes obsessed with figuring out which style of rain dance works best. Absurd. The accumulation of wealth has never been about speed. 99 times out of 100, anything that promises you speed is a trap. Truly good things take time. You plant an apple seed. You can't expect it to bear big sweet apples next week. You have to water it, fertilize it, and wait patiently for it to sprout, grow, blossom, and finally bear fruit. Along the way, there might be pests and storms, but as long as the tree itself is sound and planted in good soil, all you really need to do is wait. The stocks are the same. When you buy a good company, it's like you've acquired a productive farm. That farm runs itself. The chickens lay eggs. The cows produce milk, and the fields grow crops. As the owner of the farm, you don't need to go out every day and pull up the crops to see how much they've grown. You just need to check in once in a while. How's the harvest looking this year? Do any of the fences need mending? That's enough. I made these mistakes when I was young, too. I thought I was smarter than everyone else in the market. I chased the hottest, most fashionable stocks along with the crowd. This company was supposed to have invented something that would change the world. That company had supposedly discovered the world's largest gold mine. I dove in like a shark that smelled blood. And the result? I got my head handed to me. It was only later that I understood. In the short run, the market is a voting machine. Whoever shouts the loudest, whoever looks the flashiest, gets the most votes. But in the long run, it's a weighing machine. The true weight of a company will eventually and honestly be reflected on that scale. All that weight built up from hot air and fancy stories will just blow away with the first gust of wind. So don't follow the crowd. Nothing good ever happens where the crowds are. Your neighbor, your barber, and even the lady selling vegetables on the street are all talking about a particular stock. You'd be wise to stay far away from it. That's usually not an opportunity. It's the prelude to a disaster. Real opportunities are often found in the corners that nobody is paying attention to, the places that people have even written off. You have to learn to think for yourself. That's more important than any finance degree. Open your eyes and look at the world around you, the Coke you drink every day. What company makes it? That smooth writing pen in your hand, who produces it? That refrigerator in your kitchen that's worked for 10 years without a problem. What brand is it? These are the companies you should be studying. Go look at their products. Do you like them? Go learn about their history. How many recessions have they lived through? Go find what their managers have said. Do you trust this person? Would you be willing to hand your money over to someone like that to manage? At times is doing your homework. Asterisk at times is what investing is supposed to look like. It's not about listening to some so-called guru on TV, draw a few lines on a chart, and tell you where the support and resistance levels are. That's witchcraft, not science. I have a friend who many years ago took his life savings and bought shares in a railroad company. Everyone told him he was a fool. They said, "This is the age of the automobile, and the future belongs to airplanes. Who needs a slow, clunky, old train?" My friend didn't argue. He just told me, "I know trains aren't sexy. But I also know that as long as this country needs to move huge amounts of coal, grain, and timber from one place to another, rail is the cheapest, the most reliable way to do it. This is a hard business to kill." Decades passed. Many of those once hot tech companies have vanished. Now my friend, with his obsolete railroad company, quietly and steadily became a very wealthy man. He never checked his stock prices daily. In fact, he sometimes went years without looking. What did he care about? He cared about the total freight tonnage the railroad was carrying each year. He cared about whether the cost of shipping was going down. He thought of himself as an owner of that railroad, and that was it. See, the principle is that simple. So simple that many people refuse to believe it. People think the secret to making big money must be hidden in some complex formula or a mysterious inside tip. They can't accept that the most reliable path to wealth is simply to buy a great company and then do nothing. Doing nothing. Those two words describe the most difficult discipline in the world because it goes against every human instinct. Your brain will scream at you. It will tell you, do something. Look, it's going up. You'll miss out. Look, it's falling. Sell now or you'll lose everything. Your friends will ask you, what's hot right now? The media will bombard you with sensational headlines. The entire world is urging you to act. In moments like these, all you can do is plug your ears. Go back to your farm. Go see if your fruit trees have grown a little taller. Go feel your soil and see if it's still fertile. As long as your farm, your good company is sound, who cares if there's a storm outside? The storm will always pass. The biggest enemy has never been the market. It's the person in the mirror. You can't control whether the stock price goes up or down tomorrow, any more than you can control if it's sunny or rainy. Can times control your own actions? You can decide whether to calmly walk in the rain with an umbrella or to run around naked in a panic. So stop predicting. Stop trying to guess where the market's top is or where the bottom is. In my long life, I've seen countless people who called themselves masters of prediction. Their stories usually don't end well. The market is like a moody giant. If you try to guess his next move, you'll just get stepped on. Your job isn't to predict, it's to prepare. How do you prepare? Simple. You leave yourself a huge margin of safety. You buy $1's worth of value for 50 cents. When you buy things that cheaply, you've built yourself a thick fortress wall. Even if the market goes crazy and temporarily marks that $1 item down to 30 cents, you won't be scared. You know its true value is far higher. In fact, you'll be delighted because you can buy even more at an even better price. This is the fundamental difference between a gambler and an investor. A gambler fears volatility because it could wipe him out. A true investor welcomes volatility because volatility gives him the chance to buy great companies at unfairly low prices. When others are selling in fear, that's when you should be greedy. When others have become uncontrollably greedy, you just need to stand quietly on the sidelines and be cautious. Remember, avoiding failure is far more important than chasing success. On this road of investing, you don't need to be a genius. You just need to not be a fool, and you'll already be ahead of 90% of the people. And what do fools do? They trade constantly, chase trends, borrow money to bet big, buy things they don't understand, and listen to rumors. If you just avoid doing all that stupid stuff, it's actually pretty hard to lose a lot of money. It's like driving. You don't need to be a race car driver to get safely from one end of the country to the other. You just need to follow the rules of the road. Don't speed. Don't run red lights. Don't drink and drive. It's that simple. But there are always people who think they're so skilled that they have to weave in and out of traffic, and they're usually the ones who end up in a ditch. That's why I say investing is 80% psychology. The other 20% is the finance and analysis stuff. If you can't even control your own emotions, it doesn't matter how many financial statements you read or how many theories you learn. All that knowledge will just become a tool you use to rationalize your own foolish behavior. Stop making this so complicated. Get back to common sense. You are buying a business you understand, you like, and you trust. Then make time your best friend, not your enemy. Give your business enough time to grow, to create value. Decades from now, you will thank the patient, even boring person you were today. You'll find that all those people who were busy darting in and out of the market, chasing excitement, they may have won a few battles, but in the end, the one who wins the war is a quiet farmer, patiently tending his own fields. Because you understand that wealth is not a magic trick that appears overnight. It's a crop that grows slowly over time. All you have to do is plant good seeds, and then patiently wait for the roses of time to quietly bloom. It's that simple. Really, it is. This world is too noisy. Too much noise, not enough signal. Everyone wants to tell you what to do, and everyone seems to know more than you. But the only voice you really need to listen to is the one inside you, the judgment that comes from common sense and reason, after you've done your own homework. I know some very wealthy people, and their lifestyles are probably far more boring than you'd imagine. They don't watch the market. They don't talk about stocks. Their lives revolve around their work, their families, and their hobbies. The reason they're rich isn't because of all the right moves they made in the market. It's just the opposite. It's because they made very, very few moves. Many years ago, they bought a few outstanding assets, and then they more or less forgot about them. They let brilliant entrepreneurs work day and night for them. That's the best business model in the world. So, turn off your quotation software. Get out of that room. Go for a walk. Read a book. Spend time with your family. Go check if that beverage company you invested in has any new flavors. Go to the mall and see if business is good at that apparel company's store. That is 10,000 times more useful than staring at candlestick charts on a screen. You're running a business, a lifelong marathon.